In a quiet suburban neighborhood, homeowners often find themselves navigating complexities of community living, but for one resident. The relationship with the Homeowners Association, or HOA, had become increasingly strained. The protagonist, a diligent homeowner named Alex, had always prided themselves on maintaining their property to the highest standards. However, the HOA's stringent rules and constant scrutiny had created an underlying tension that simmered just below the surface. Recently, the HOA made a controversial decision to cut down a large oak tree that stood majestically in Alex's front yard. The tree was not only a cherished part of the landscape, but also provided shade and beauty to the neighborhood. The HOA claimed it posed a safety risk due to its proximity to power lines, but many residents viewed this action as an overreach of authority. Alex, who had voiced concerns about the tree's removal during community meetings, felt powerless as they watched it come down. What followed was a chain reaction that would change everything. Shortly after the tree was cut, a powerful storm swept through the area, causing the remnants of the fallen tree to crash onto Alex's property. The damage was significant, and instead of taking responsibility for their actions, the HOA demanded that Alex cover the repair costs, igniting a fierce battle that would eventually attract unexpected attention from law enforcement. As tensions mounted, Alex realized this conflict was about much more than just a tree. It was a fight for justice and accountability within their community. The day began like any other, with Alex sipping coffee on the porch while the sun rose over the neighborhood. But as dark clouds rolled in, an uneasy feeling settled in the pit of their stomach. The storm warning had been issued, and weather reports predicted heavy winds and rain. Little did Alex know, the HOA's recent decision to cut down the oak tree would soon have dire consequences. As the storm approached, the winds picked up intensity, howling through the streets and rattling windows. Alex watched nervously as branches from nearby trees swayed violently, but it was the remnants of the HOA's actions that caught their attention. Suddenly, with a deafening crack, the trunk of the recently felled oak toppled over, its large limbs flying through the air like projectiles. Time seemed to slow as Alex realized what was happening. The tree was falling toward their house. In a horrifying instant, the massive trunk crashed onto their roof with a resounding thud, splintering shingles and shattering windows. The sound echoed through the neighborhood, drawing concerned glances from neighbors who had gathered outside to weather the storm. Heart racing, Alex rushed outside to assess the damage. The sight was devastating. Debris scattered everywhere, structural damage evident, and shattered glass littering the yard. As rain began to pour down, so did an overwhelming sense of dread. The aftermath of this incident would not only cost money for repairs, but would ignite a fierce conflict with the HOA that was just beginning to unfold. In the aftermath of the storm, Alex was still reeling from the shock of the damage when a letter arrived from the HOA. It felt like a punch to the gut. The association was not only dismissive of the chaos that had unfolded, but was now insisting that Alex was solely responsible for the cost of repairs. According to them, it was a homeowner's duty to maintain their property, and since the tree had been removed under their directive, they argued that any consequences were now on Alex's shoulders. During a tense meeting with the HOA board, Alex's frustration boiled over. "You ordered the tree to be cut down. How can you say I'm liable for this?" They were met with blank stares and rehearsed responses. The HOA members insisted that their decision to remove the tree was based on safety protocols, and that Alex should have taken precautions to protect their home. It felt absurd. How could one protect themselves from an event set in motion by the very organization claiming authority over their property? The conversation quickly escalated as board members cited community bylaws and regulations, twisting them to absolve themselves of responsibility. With each passing moment, it became clear that this wasn't just about property damage. It was a battle against an entity that seemed determined to evade accountability. As Alex left the meeting, determination replaced despair. If the HOA thought they could push them around, they were in for a fight. As the reality of the situation sank in, Alex couldn't shake off the feeling of injustice. The HOA's demands were not just unreasonable, they also posed significant legal implications. Determined to understand their rights, Alex sought legal counsel to navigate this murky territory. The lawyer explained that homeowners have certain protections under property laws, especially when it comes to damages caused by actions taken by governing bodies like HOAs. One crucial point discussed was liability. Since the HOA had ordered the tree's removal, they could potentially share responsibility for the subsequent damage. This opened up avenues for a counterclaim against the association, asserting that their decision directly led to the destruction of Alex's property. The lawyer advised Alex to document everything meticulously: photos of the damage, correspondence with the HOA, and notes from meetings to build a solid case. Additionally, insurance considerations loomed large. While Alex's homeowner's insurance policy might cover some damages, many policies include clauses that could complicate claims involving negligence by an HOA. It was essential to review the policy details carefully and determine if it would cover costs incurred due to the tree incident. As discussions turned toward a potential lawsuit, Alex weighed their options. The idea of going to court was daunting, but the prospect of standing up against what felt like institutional bullying fueled their resolve. With newfound clarity about their rights and options, Alex prepared for what could be a long and challenging battle ahead. As the days passed, the emotional and financial burden weighed heavily on Alex. The initial shock of the tree falling had quickly transformed into a relentless cycle of stress and anxiety. Every time they glanced at the damage, cracked windows, a battered roof, and scattered debris, the reality of the situation hit harder. The HOA's demands loomed large, and with each letter received, the pressure mounted. Financially, the situation was dire. Repair costs were escalating, and although Alex had some savings set aside, they were nowhere near enough to cover the extensive damages. The thought of dipping into retirement funds or going into debt was terrifying. In addition to worrying about money, Alex was consumed by the obligation to protect their home, something that should have felt like a sanctuary, but now resembled a battlefield. Emotionally, Alex felt isolated and frustrated. Friends and neighbors offered sympathetic words, but couldn't truly grasp the weight of being pitted against an organization that had so much control over their community. Every interaction with the HOA felt like a reminder of their powerlessness. Despite being an engaged member of the community, Alex was now painted as the villain simply for seeking justice. The dilemma raged within. Should they stand firm against the HOA's demands and risk further escalation, or should they pay up to regain peace? This internal conflict became a source of deep anxiety, leaving Alex torn between fighting for what was right and succumbing to the pressure that threatened their stability. As the weeks rolled on, tensions continued to escalate between Alex and the HOA. Frustrated by their persistent demands and lack of accountability, Alex decided to confront the board members directly. During the next HOA meeting, they stood before the assembled homeowners and board members, determined to voice their grievances. The atmosphere was charged, with other residents glancing nervously at one another, unsure of how to react. Why am I being held responsible for damages caused by a tree you decided to cut down? Alex's voice echoed as they challenged the board. The room fell silent, and the board members exchanged uneasy glances. In response, the HOA president dismissed their concerns, reciting bylaws that place responsibility for property maintenance squarely on individual homeowners. It felt like a rehearsed script, devoid of empathy or understanding. As discussions turned heated, another resident chimed in, expressing solidarity with Alex's plight. If we can't trust the HOA to make safe decisions about our properties, how can we feel secure living here? This sparked a ripple of agreement among several homeowners who began to voice their own frustrations about the HOA's heavy-handed approach. Seeing their authority challenged, the board shifted into defensive mode, insisting that all actions taken were for the safety and benefit of the community. But Alex was undeterred. This was no longer just about a fallen tree. It had become a larger fight against what they perceived as unjust governance within their community. With emotions running high, Alex knew they had to prepare for an even bigger confrontation ahead. Just when Alex thought the situation couldn't get any more complicated, an unexpected twist turned their world upside down. One afternoon, while reviewing repair estimates for the damage caused by the fallen tree, a sharp knock echoed through the house. It was urgent and insistent, drawing Alex's attention away from the paperwork. Opening the door, they were met by two stern-looking agents in suits, flashing FBI badges. "Are you Alex Turner?" one of them asked, their tone serious. Alex's heart raced. Yes, that's me. Is there a problem? The agents exchanged a glance before one responded. We're here to ask you some questions regarding your homeowners association. Confusion washed over Alex. What could the FBI possibly want with them? As they stepped inside to talk, the agents explained that they were investigating potential misconduct within the HOA, including allegations of fraud and mismanagement of funds. They had received tips suggesting that several members of the board had been acting outside their legal boundaries. Alex's mind raced. Could this be connected to the recent demand for payment? The agents probed about various issues related to the HOA's practices, including financial dealings and decision-making processes surrounding property maintenance. With every question asked, Alex felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this investigation could shed light on their own struggles and reveal the truth behind the HOA's actions. As the conversation deepened, it became clear that this was no ordinary investigation. It was an opportunity for Alex to fight back against an oppressive system that had caused so much pain. As the conversation with the FBI agents unfolded, Alex began to grasp the gravity of the situation. The agents revealed that their investigation into the HOA had been prompted by multiple complaints from residents over several years. Allegations of mismanagement and financial improprieties had raised red flags, suggesting that some board members might have been pocketing funds meant for community repairs and maintenance. The agents detailed instances where maintenance fees had inexplicably increased without justification, leaving homeowners frustrated and confused. Moreover, there were claims of favoritism in approving landscaping and renovation projects, leading to suspicions of kickbacks for certain board members. Alex's own grievances about the tree removal suddenly felt part of a much larger pattern of disregard for homeowner interests. As they continued to probe, the agents pressed Alex for any documentation or personal experiences that could shed light on these issues. This was a pivotal moment. Alex realized that their own fight against the HOA was intertwined with a broader battle for transparency within the community. The FBI's interest in resolving these allegations provided a unique opportunity to expose not just their own struggles, but also the systemic corruption that had festered within the HOA. With every detail shared, Alex felt a surge of empowerment. No longer just a victim, they were now an integral part of an unfolding investigation that could lead to accountability for both the HOA and its board members. The prospect of shedding light on the secrets hidden behind closed doors fueled Alex's determination to see this through to the end. With the weight of the FBI's investigation looming, Alex made a pivotal decision. They would cooperate fully. After years of feeling powerless against the HOA's demands, this was an opportunity to take back control. The agents encouraged Alex to share everything they knew, details about the tree incident, correspondence with the HOA, and any evidence that could support the claims of misconduct. Gathering their thoughts, Alex began compiling documents that highlighted the HOA's actions. They pulled together emails exchanged with board members, notes from meetings where concerns were dismissed, and photographs of the damage caused by the fallen tree. Each piece of evidence painted a clearer picture of a community driven by greed rather than care for its residents. During subsequent meetings with the FBI, Alex shared their experiences candidly, recounting the confrontations with the board and the emotional toll of being targeted as a scapegoat. The agents listened intently, taking notes and asking probing questions that helped them connect dots between Alex's situation and the broader allegations against the HOA. As Alex opened up about their frustrations and fears, it became evident that their story was not just another homeowner's complaint. It was a critical thread in unraveling a tapestry of corruption. The more they shared, the more empowered they felt. This cooperation was not just about seeking justice for themselves, but also about standing up for other residents who had suffered in silence. With each meeting, Alex transformed from a victim into an advocate for change, ready to confront the HOA's wrongdoings head-on. As the investigation unfolded, the community began to rally around Alex, energized by the revelations about the HOA's questionable practices. With the support of other homeowners who had faced similar grievances, a growing movement emerged demanding transparency and accountability. The FBI's involvement shed light on years of mismanagement, leading to significant changes within the HOA. Board members were forced to resign, and new elections were held, allowing residents to reclaim their power. In the end, Alex received compensation for the damages caused by the fallen tree, and the HOA was held accountable for their negligence. The legal victory not only alleviated some financial burdens, but also served as a powerful affirmation of standing up for what is right. The community's voice had risen above the chaos, transforming an oppressive environment into one characterized by collaboration and trust. Reflecting on this tumultuous journey, Alex felt a mix of relief and pride. The ordeal had been taxing, yet it opened their eyes to the importance of community governance. They realized that being a homeowner was about more than just maintaining property. It was about engaging in collective decision-making and holding leaders accountable. The experience taught Alex that advocacy begins at home, within one's neighborhood. Inspired by this newfound perspective, they became actively involved in local meetings and initiatives, determined to foster an environment where residents' voices would never again be overshadowed by bureaucracy. As they looked forward to brighter days ahead, Alex understood that true change often starts with one person's courage to confront injustice.